And yet God said, I will make a way.
Yeah, he always does. God always makes a way. That's right.
Unbelievable. Corie?
All right. I want to talk about covenants today because we read about covenants all over the Old and New Testaments. And so the concept of the ancient Near Eastern covenant is extremely important for us to understand. The whole salvation story of the Bible is presented to us in the form of covenants. Even the Bible itself is called, in the Christian world at least, the Old and New Testaments, which means the Old and New Covenants. So on its surface, a covenant is very similar to a contract, an agreed upon set of rules between two parties for their mutual benefit, a contract, right? However, what's not immediately obvious to modern readers is just how covenants worked. So in the patriarchal society of the ancient Near East that Abraham and Israel were a part of, society completely revolved around family units. And the authority and responsibility for maintaining order and survival was the patriarch, the oldest male member of a family unit. Family was responsible for family. So then what about when you needed, for one reason or the other, to team up with another family that socially had no reason to protect or care for you? You could strike a covenant, a type of contract that would make you like family, at least legally. As I already mentioned, we see covenants all over the Bible, and they could happen on an individual level, a tribal level, or a national level. Covenants could be parity treaties, meaning a covenant between two equals that would make the two parties like legal brothers. Covenants could also be suzerain vassal treaties, which is a covenant between non-equals. There's a powerful and less powerful party, which would create a legal relationship of father-son or even master-servant. A suzerain vassal treaty often happened in the context of an invading king. The king or leader who had conquered a people's territory would lay out everyone's rights and responsibilities, the way life would now operate. As a suzerain, he now owned the land and the people. They could live their lives, but now they owed loyalty and yearly tribute to him. As a result, the suzerain would allow the people to remain, to live on the land, and he would owe them protection. If the people rebelled against the suzerain by not following the stipulations of the covenant or by withholding their tribute, they would lose their right to the land. At a covenant ceremony, animals would be sacrificed for a few reasons. It marked the occasion as special or set apart. It involved the godly authorities in the process. The sacrificial animals often served as a meal, and the animals showed the parties what would happen to them if they were to rebel against the covenant. They would become like the sacrificial animals, dead. For our understanding today, in Genesis 15, God was cutting a covenant with Abram. God had already made a covenant promises of offspring to Abram for Abram's allegiance to God, and he also offered him land. He would give Canaan to Abram's descendants. But by Genesis 15, Abram had been waiting a long time for this promised son. He seems to have been struggling a bit. He asks, "Sovereign Lord, how can I know that I will gain possession of it?" God creates a covenant ceremony, something that Abram would have been very familiar with. God instructs him to get sacrificial animals, which Abram does, and he sacrifices, cuts in half, and arranges. When God shows up, though, and outlines the stipulation of the covenant, it's God, the suzerain, who passes through the sacrificial animals, not Abram, the lesser party. In an amazing twist of expectation, God promises to Abraham that it is him, God, who will pay with his divine life if the covenant is broken. Amazingly, the Bible clearly portrays the descendants of Abram breaking the covenant. And what happens? God comes to earth as Christ Jesus, and he offers his life to make a new covenant. His body was broken for us.
And we see that as well as when he goes to sacrifice Isaac. He said the Lord will provide a lamb. So this idea was introduced to him already by this covenant. That is an amazing story. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. We want to keep producing high-quality biblical content, but we can't do it without your support. If you feel called to support us, please click the link in the description under Donate. Your support really means a lot to us.